Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing. Testing, one, two, three. I've always wanted to use that in a real life situation. Go to like a grocery store, get on the loudspeaker. Testing, testing. Testing, one, two, three. The gentleman in aisle 6. Yes, you. You dropped your condoms in aisle 8. Boy, that's an embarrassing thing. Buying condoms for the first time. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to think the last time that I actually went to a store and straight up picked up condoms. But I remember doing it as a kid, and I remember not liking it. Because it's really fucking weird when you're like a 15, 16, whatever the fuck old you are when you start having sex, when you start the insertion of the penis into another human being's fucking vagina. Ew! When you start that whole activity and whatnot, you're always told go to get the fucking condoms, and it's always really fucking weird the first time you do it because I don't know, maybe you're proud, maybe you're like, hey, check it out, people. Yeah, old lady behind me. Yeah, I'm fucking. Yeah. So what? Having more sex than you, bitch. Or you're like me and you were fucking a little bit embarrassed. And you didn't want to deal with it. And if you haven't had sex yet, and you're still a virgin, it's okay, man. It's fucking okay. There are a lot of people that had to wait until death, until heaven to have sex as well. So it's okay. I wouldn't worry about it. I would not worry about it. Wait, can I mute this? Anyway. So, guys, just like the first time that you were pushed out of your mother's vagina, hopefully the last, this is a first for me. This is something that has kind of been on my mind for a little and something that I've wanted to do, something that I've wanted to test the waters about. I listened to a lot of podcasts myself. My particular favorite is the Joe Rogan podcast. I fucking love it, and he's always inspired a lot of topics of conversation for me. And if I had to pick one person in this world to have a beer with, it would be Joe Rogan. And if I had to pick two people in this world to have a beer with, it would be Joe Rogan and Bill Burr. So I want to see how this goes. So let me give you a little bit of the breakdown of sort of what I want to do. I don't know how the frequency of these, but I know what I sort of want each one to be. So the first one, as you can see, is going to be a little bit about me. I'm going to pretty much just sort of walk you through my entire life, sort of highlighting, obviously, things that deal with gaming and things like that, so that you guys can get a better understanding, get to know me a little bit better. And then I'm going to end every single one with questions. So if anybody has questions, I guess the easiest way would just be to direct message me or whisper me or something. I will look at them after this. I don't know if I'm going to get any questions for this one particularly. And I don't know, maybe we can like talk about a couple fun things at the end, like story time, or I can just tell some corny ass dad joke or some shit like that. But for the most part, these are going to be totally non-scripted. I don't have anything really fucking planned. I'm kind of just going to ramble, and that's how each one is going to be. And everyone after this, I will have somebody else. So I'll probably start with, a couple people from my clan or something like that, and talk to people and just have a conversation, man. Just talk about them, and sort of see where the conversation goes. These don't even have to be about gaming. I don't even know really where this one's gonna go, so we'll see what sort of tangents go off. But I am not going to be reading chat. I'm not going to be acknowledging anything on Streamlabs or anything like that. I don't want this. It's not really going to be a chat interaction. It's going to just be more of a podcast type thing where I kind of just talk. The only time I would really interact with chat would be answering the questions at the end. So you guys just kind of keep yourselves occupied. Talk about things amongst yourselves and make fun of me. Hold your dick in your hand. Fucking watch gay porn. I don't give a fuck, man. Eat a bowl of Cheerios. As long as you're not doing the milk before the cereal, we're good. If you're one of those motherfuckers, does anybody actually pour milk in the bowl before the cereal? Because I feel like that's just something that people made up, but is not something that somebody is actually fucking crazy enough to do. I don't fucking know. Anyway. So I got my coffee here. Today is bringing us a French vanilla. I would say it's between hazelnut and French vanilla. I would say hazelnut is probably my favorite type of coffee, but I would say French vanilla is definitely a close second. But I don't know what it is, man. I blame my one buddy. I have this friend named Dave, and he will always be a cocksucker to me because I used to not like coffee, and I used to be totally against it. And during like family get-togethers and Christmas and stuff like that, my brother and my mom, my sister, and everything would always drink a bunch of Wait, I want to play like these types of videos. Can I just run? Is there a way that I can just run like a playlist of my videos? Play all? Can I do that? Yeah, not this one. Shuffle playlist, dude. There we go. Yo, this will be funny. This will be a bunch of old ass fucking Destiny clips. We'll see where they go though. But anyway, so my buddy Dave came down to visit me one time in Washington D.C. and he got me into coffee, and that fucking asshole, because I just fucking loved it so much. After that one night, ooh, this will be interesting. And ever since then, I've been severely kind of addicted to it. I did take a little bit of a break and tried to convince myself that I was over the whole coffee situation. But just like every excellent drug in its prime, it comes back to eat you alive. So I am once again consumed by coffee, and there was actually one point where I was up to about 100 ounces a day, or maybe even more. I wouldn't say I'm that high now, but I would say I'm definitely around 60 or so. And the thing about it is, it's not even the caffeine or the drug effect of the coffee that sort of has me addicted. It's the fucking taste, man. Like, motherfuckers say that they like coffee, like, oh man, coffee's my shit, you know. Yeah, like, I'm the fucking coffee man. I love it so much. Can't live without my coffee. No, you are over there fucking dumping a load of goddamn sugar into your fucking coffee. You're drinking so much sugar, you're coming sugar. And you're just coming into your fucking coffee and just polluting it. And it's basically just like taking a candy bar and just crushing it up and melting a candy bar and then drinking a candy bar. You don't like fucking coffee. You like sugar. You like caffeine. You like your own fucking cum. You are not a coffee man. I'm a coffee man. I like coffee. Coffee's my thing. No, you're a fucking cum sugar man. That's what you are. You don't like coffee. You don't know shit about coffee. You know how I drink my coffee? Straight from the fucking elephant's asshole. And if you don't know what that means, that is referring to a coffee that I drink. I haven't actually purchased it in a really long time, but I would definitely recommend it. It is called Black Ivory. And I would Google it, check it out. It is the most expensive coffee in the world. And what makes it so expensive is they take the beans and they pass it through the system of an elephant. And then they pretty much just extract the coffee beans straight from the elephant's fucking thumper dump, straight from his doo-doo sack, and give you the beans. And what it does is there are apparently, I didn't fucking go to school for this and I didn't study this. We'll get into a little bit of that later. But apparently, when the beans pass through the system of an elephant in his stomach, there are enzymes that remove certain chemicals from the beans that give coffee that really like bitter taste to it, which is a very desirable taste for sure. But if you've never had coffee that does not have that sort of bitter taste to it, it is like, bro, fucking outstanding. Like, that's the best way to describe it. What the fuck happened to my, like, fucking outstanding. And it's like, I think it's like $50 per one thing of coffee or something like that. So it's really, really, really fucking expensive, but it's totally worth it. The thing that sucks is you want to like keep drinking it and keep fucking drinking it, but you don't want to blow through your $50 cups of coffee in like a second. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting here with my French vanilla coffee, and it's really fucking good. And we're ready to go. Okay, so let's start from the beginning of a little fucking Gladdy Poo's life. Like I said, I will go through a lot of stuff, but I'll probably target things that deal with gaming. Okay? So, what was my first gaming experience? I'm gonna say Atari. I was alive when Atari was like the up and running thing. What year did Atari come out? Atari was 80s. It had to have been. I would assume sometime in the 80s, maybe even sooner. Maybe it was just relevant when I was a child, but I remember having an Atari system when I was a little kid. And you know, it's, if you're not familiar with Atari, it's basically this big ass fucking black box. Just take your fucking PC tower and just lean it on its side. It's just this big ass black box, and the controller is a joystick. So just think of like an arcade type thing, right? And you play games that, you know, like the traditional Pong with the two things on the side and the ball bounces in the middle. Like, that's the type of games that you played on Atari. And that's my very first memories of gaming. But what was big for me was a little system called Sega. Now, Sega was the first system that I really fell in love with. And if you're not familiar with Sega, you would know Sega as the originator of Sonic. So, if I'm not mistaken, the Sonic games, Sonic the Hedgehog games, originated on the Sega Genesis. And, you know, you boot up the Sega and it was always like, Sega. But Sega had a lot of really, really cool games, Sonic being definitely the highlight. And I remember there was this game called Pugsy. And it was this little fucking, like red alien character with these little ears, and you had to take him through these levels. Ugh, I got the burps, man. You had to take him through these levels and solve all these puzzles. So that was, I guess, like my first puzzle game experience as a gamer. But I remember specifically Sega was something that I got into heavily, and I even continued playing it after I got into Super Nintendo and things like that, because Super Nintendo was the best thing. Now, I actually did not spend a lot of time on Super Nintendo. I was more of a Nintendo 64. I don't really know exactly what was going on in the Super Nintendo period, but I played the original Zelda, which is not originally what got me addicted to Zelda games. but the original Zelda for Super Nintendo. The big thing that I played for Super Nintendo or SNES or whatever the fuck your little dumbass wants to call it, was the Mario games, obviously. So all the Mario games were pretty fucking awesome. But a big fucking huge system in my life was Nintendo 64, and I still think to this day Nintendo 64 is the best console and the best system ever. I just think Nintendo 64, even at its time, was so revolutionary in gaming. And even today, there are games that you can play on Nintendo 64 that just have such good longevity that are still amazing to play and so fun to play. And I think that system is man, I would just always love and cherish Nintendo 64. I have a Nintendo 64 right in front of me right now. And there are so many games that you could just play with your friends and family, and it took multiplayer experiences to a whole new level. I mean, if you've ever played GoldenEye 007, like, bro, come on, GoldenEye was the fucking tits. And then that introduced me to Ocarina of Time, and Ocarina of Time is my favorite video game of all time. I could sit here and talk about it for hours, but I'm not going to. If you've never played Ocarina of Time, it's 100% worth the experience. I highly recommend it, even if you don't have an N64. See if you can fucking torrent that shit or something. But it's a really fucking awesome game. It stands the test of time. And I used to sit there as a kid, and I used to just drill this game. I mean, over and over and over. I would just beat it, reset, beat it, reset, beat it, reset, beat it, reset. And I would just never stop. I would just keep fucking playing. And that was, I think I would say, the first video game that I played quote unquote hardcore, that I really would just grind out and spend, 12, 15 hours at a time playing this game. And I never had really done that before. I would do like little sessions. But I don't know what it is, man. That fucking game is just magic from beginning to end. Total fucking magic. And I almost feel bad for you if you've never played it. It's like never being on a playground as a kid, pretty much. But moving on. I guess next came it would have been fucking Xbox. It would have been the original Xbox. My earliest memories of the original Xbox were when I had to move with my family out a little bit west, because I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and my parents divorced, and my mom married somebody who was in the army, so he was always moving and getting transferred and shit like that because he was an army recruiter. So we moved out west, where I met one of my best friends still to this day, David. And where the fuck was I going with this? Why did I just lose my train of thought? Oh, Xbox. Okay, yeah. So he taught me how to ski. So he had a pair of skis, and we used to go up on this mountain called Blue Knob, which is out near like State College, Pennsylvania, somewhere out there. And we had this buddy named Wyatt, and he had this fucking like sick ass house that we would go to, and then like on the weekends when we would ski there, and he had an Xbox, and I didn't have an Xbox myself at the time, but that was the first time that I was introduced to like the Halo series and things like that. So I was in like the end of elementary school at that time, or like middle school or something like that. Elementary, I would say. And then Xbox 360 was probably like the next big system for me that was fucking huge, and I would place a lot of that on Call of Duty, because Call of Duty really brought a lot of my friends from home together. It was something that we could do after school if we couldn't hang out. I got my I had a best friend, Justin, who lived across the street from me, and I got him to get an Xbox just for Call of Duty. And the first Call of Duty that I played was Call of Duty 2, and that just kind of had like split screen multiplayer, and you could go around and kill each other, and it was really fucking dope. We used to have people over, and like I would have friends over, and we'd be playing Call of Duty multiplayer, and then I'd be like, all right, man, well, my buddy Brett used to come over a lot. I'd be like, all right, bro, I gotta go to work, man. And he's like, all right, cool, and he just like wouldn't leave my house, and I was like, all right, you're just gonna sit here and like play Call of Duty? He's like, hell yeah, man, this shit's awesome. I'm just gonna chill with your brother. And I was like, fair enough, Michael. Have fun. My brother's name's Michael. I was like, have fun with Brett. And I'd go to work for like 6-7 hours, and then I'd come back home, and Brett would still be sitting there on the floor, fucking going hardcore gaming with my brother, and I'd be like, oh my god. So Call of Duty 2 is definitely the big one. I don't really have much memory of Call of Duty 3, to be completely honest. But Call of Duty 4 was the big one. So Call of Duty 4 was the first game the first like multiplayer game that I took pretty seriously. I really cared a lot about my performance in the game. I really care a lot about learning about the game, about researching it constantly, about bettering myself. And I would definitely say that was the first competitive multiplayer, and definitely the first shooter that like I said, I took very seriously and cared a lot about how I performed and was always trying to better myself. And that also brought a lot of my friends and stuff together. But around that same time period, so my first job ever was a grocery store. I was a bagger. Yes, I was a fucking bagger. That was my first job ever. I bagged groceries for old ladies at a grocery store. And I had to do it because around that time I had just got my permit, so I was 15 years old, and my mom said that she would buy me my first car if I got a job before I got my license. So I was like, all right, I'll get a job. So it was just a grocery store nearby, and it was funny because all my friends ended up getting a job at the same place. But so I worked there for about, I want to say 2 months, maybe a month or 2 months. And they were like, all right, would you like to learn the cash register? And I was like, sure, I'll fucking learn the cash register. I'm not trying to like bag groceries for old ladies with dried up coochies for the rest of my life. So learn the cash register, and that's pretty fucking chill. It's not too hard as long as you can count some dollar bills. And then around the 3-month mark, they asked me, they were like, hey, you know, you really look like you know what you're doing. You seem to work really well with customers and understand them. And they were like, do you want to learn the customer service desk? And I was like, oh shit, I'm like a 15-year-old kid, and these people are fucking asking me to go behind the customer service desk. And you know, there's a lot of responsibilities there. Like when you go into a grocery store, you go into Walmart or something, and you have a problem, like you have a return, you have a question, you have a concern. Where do you go? You go to the customer service desk. So, you know, it was definitely like a big step, and I remember like my mom was all proud of me. She was like, oh, that's cool. So I learned the customer service desk. Not really too complicated, or not as complicated as I thought it was going to be, but you definitely had to make a lot of decisions without managers. So you couldn't know, like every time you had a little bit of a hiccup, you couldn't be like you know, manager, and then ring your manager. Like you were asked to solve situations and solve problems on your own. So, but that was pretty cool. So I worked there for about 3 months, and then right around my 6-month mark, the managers came up to me, and they were like, hey, come to our office. And I sat in their office, and I was like, oh shit, what the fuck did I do? And they were like, how do you feel about learning the front end manager, or the, what the fuck did they call it? Checkout coach. So a checkout coach is the person, if you go into a grocery store, and let's say, like, have you ever had a register, if you're doing a self checkout, or the cashier had like a hiccup, that person that comes over, that looks all like, has a vest on and has the keys and like counts all the money in the drawers and like basically monitors the entire front end, hence front end manager. That's the position they wanted me to fill as a 15-year-old kid. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, I'm fucking 15, and everybody here is like in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and there's just so many people that have been here for so long. I was like, why are they asking me to do this at 15-year-old, like as a 15-year-old kid? I fucking can't even drive yet, you know. My was I was still a virgin at that point. Was I? Wait, when the yeah, I definitely still, yeah, because mm-hmm, because I didn't fucking lose my, wait, when did I lose my virginity? I lost my virginity 10th grade or 11th grade. I want to say 11th, actually. I want to say I lost my virginity late because I remember my buddy Justin that I mentioned earlier. He lost his virginity before I did, and he was younger than me. We were in the same grade, but he was younger than me. So I want to say 11th grade. So I was like I was very sexually active, but I didn't actually do the whole insertion thing until 11th grade. It was either end of 10th or early 11th. I'm not going to drop name. I mean, her name is Megan, but that's all that I'll say. I'm not going to say. But she was a girl that I dated in that time, around that same time period. So funny. All right, so funny story about that. So, the first time you ever have sex is always fucking, it's always weird because you kind of like psych yourself out a little bit, and it's like a big deal. And I tried to like make a little thing out of it. I tried to be, I didn't want to just be like, oh, we start making out, we start doing this, we start having sex. Like I wanted to sort of set the mood. So I was doing some fucking corny ass shit, and I I bought her this like silk red robe. I remember it was the silky ass red robe. Fuck, I have a hair in my mouth. Ew. Ew. Why is hair so gross when it leaves the body? Like when it's on the body, it's fine. Oh, it's fucking gross. Like once the hair detaches from the head, it's nasty. Anyway, so I bought her this red robe, and I had this fucking CD that I made. So I used to burn all these CDs, right? Yes, CDs. I said that correctly. Compact discs. Things that you put in Walkmans. Things that you need a CD player in your car to use. So I burned this CD with all these fucking like Journey songs. I remember they were Journey songs. And I like, my mom left and she wasn't home, and I invited her over after school, and I was like, you should go to the bathroom and put this on. And when she went to the bathroom and put it on, I fucking put the CD in my CD player and played it like at a decent volume, and she came in. Oh god. And I remember she came in, I just immediately got like, really fucking turned on and shit, because I knew like what was about to happen, and so did she, but we never like actually spoke about it. And then I like asked her to undress me slowly and shit like that, and then I took her robe off and stuff, and we laid down on the bed and fucking got the condom out. Like I had bought condoms and everything, and I'll never forget, I fucking like, I couldn't get hard. I like I was so worked up and like built it up so much, and I was so nervous that I couldn't fucking get hard. I remember, and I was like so embarrassed, and it was such like a fucking blow to my confidence, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, why can't I get hard? This is so fucking weird. Like, and I remember telling her too, I was like, I don't know what's going on, like I'm so like ready to go. I just, little Jeffy down there is not, well, obviously big Jeffy, but at the time it was little Jeffy, and I couldn't get hard, and I was like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm just so nervous and I'm working myself up. And she was trying to calm me down, and she was like, okay, well, just lay down and relax, and and like just let me, do my thing. So she was doing her thing. You use your imagination for that. And I just literally couldn't fucking get hard. And it was pissing me off so fucking bad. And so what we did is we ended up like kind of taking a little break and chilling, and then we went back at it like 15-20 minutes ago or something like that. I don't remember the time exactly. And then I was fine. It instant, like I'm talking erect, like could sword fight the Eiffel Tower. Like if I stood up and put my fingers on the top and pushed down and then released, like that shit would slap my belly button so fucking hard it would leave a red mark on my stomach. I'm talking like more erect. You get the point, yo. You get the point. But yeah. Then we were fucking good to go. We did our thing. I don't remember my performance at all. I'm sure it was very subpar my first time. But yeah, that's how that whole thing went, obviously. But anyway, that was a tangent. Where the fuck was I talking about? What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, this girl was older than me too. She was the grade above, so she was a senior and I was in 11th grade. Oh, the checkout coach thing. So anyway, they asked me to do the job. I said sure, I will take it. And then I started training. So you had to go through tons of training and take all these tests, and you had to pass what was called the checkout coach exam. And it was like 2 hours away, and I had to drive to take the test. And I gotta say, a little bit of a brag here. I was the only person ever in that store at that time. So I don't know if anything has changed, but I was the only person at that time to get a 100% on the exam. I think the highest was like a 96. So I answered every single question correctly, including the essay questions. So the questions were just a lot of situational stuff. So if a customer comes up to you with this, what's the correct thing to do? A, B, C, or D? Or they were short answer. And then they would give you these like super elaborate things, and you had to write an essay about how you would handle that situation. And they graded your essay on like a scale of 0 to 5 or something like that. So another story time. You guys are going to kick out of this. I'll have to see if I can find the video for you sometime and like upload it on my computer. So around that time, this was before I took my test, because you were not allowed to participate in this competition until you took the test. So my manager goes, okay, well, we're having our annual bagger competition. And I was like, what the fuck? Like a bagging competition? And they're like, yeah, you come in, you bag fucking groceries, we time you. It's like a ruled competition with rewards, and it's like very competitive, and you can go all the way to Las Vegas and like win nationals and stuff. And I'm like, no fucking way is this actually a thing. Oh, it's a fucking thing. So as kind of a joke, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sign up for this, and I'm gonna participate in this, and I want to see what the fuck happens. So I just kind of go, and it starts off at the store level. So everybody in the store bags. So, all right, so let me tell you exactly how it's set up. They give you all of these items on a table, and you have to bag them in what's preferred 3 bags. You can do 4 if you want, but 3 would be preferred. And they have all these criteria. So each bag has to be like sturdy and have a foundation. They actually put the bag on the floor and they kick the bag, and the bag is supposed to like slide against the hard floor. Now, if you don't build a good foundation, and if your bag is sloppy, all the items are going to fall over and they're going to crash all over the floor, and it's just not going to look good. You want your bag to be sturdy and thick. They also weigh the heaviest bag and then weigh the lightest bag and then take the difference. So you're judged on how well you distribute the items. Also, are you putting cleaning products with fruit? Are you crushing the bread? etc., etc. And then customer service, so you actually have to like talk while you bag. So, you have to have just decent conversation, be personable. You can't just sit there and like be a mute and not fucking say anything and just bag. Um and then what else is there? There's a bunch of shit basically. You get the idea. Items per bag, blah 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 blah. So I just kind of winged it. I was like, you know what, whatever. Boom, 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 boom. I start bagging all this shit. Fucking don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm like, I'm just gonna move as fast as I can. Put the bags on the thing. I hear back the next day. They were like, Glad, can you come in our office? And I was like, what's up? And they were like, you actually placed the highest in the entire store. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know anything about this. They're like, yeah, you actually did the best out of anybody. And they were like, so technically you're our store winner. And if you would like to advance to the next level, we will sign you up for the next level. And I was like, I mean, I guess, like, what's the next level? And they were like, well, you won $100 for winning the store competition, so here's your $100. And they fucking placed a $100 bill in my hand. And I was just like, word. And then they were like, each competition going forward, the prizes increase. And the next one will be, what the fuck was it? Districts or something. It was like all the stores in our kind of like all surrounding towns. I would say, just think of like all the stores in a big city. They were like, all the winners from all of the stores go up against each other. And then the winner from that gets flown out to Hershey. And you have a competition in Hershey. And then, wait, no, was that in Hershey? Hershey Stadium. Wait, no, I won a competition in a stadium, and then I lost a competition at the Hershey Hotel. There were 4 competitions I did. I did the store, I did the district. I did the store, I did the district, I did the one at the stadium. And then I did the one at the Hershey Hotel. And the Hershey Hotel was the one that I lost. So when I heard that I won the one at the store, I ended up taking it very seriously. I was like, okay, just me being competitive, me, blah, 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 blah. I was like, let's fucking go. Like, what is the criteria? What do I have to meet? What do I have to do? But let me study these. So I took a very mathematical and methodical and systematic approach to it. So what I would do, and I kid you not, is I would take a napkin at every competition. I would walk up on all the items. I would look at the ounces of each item. I would write it all down, okay? And then I would add them all up. And I would say, okay, let's say the total ounces of all of the products, just for simplicity, is 90 ounces. So I would say, okay, divide that among 3. So that means 30 ounces per bag would be perfect bagging weight distribution. And then I started looking at the items. Okay, how are there different combinations of ounces where I can get 30 without putting cleaning products with fruit, without crushing the bread? Things like that. Like I paid attention to all the different criteria and how I would not like break any of the rules, if you will. And then I would write down on another napkin, this is bag 1. These are the items that I'm going to put in bag 1 in this order. These are the items that I'm going to put in bag 2. And these are the items that I'm going to put in bag 3. And then I would just memorize each list. So like bag 1 is boom, 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 boom. Bag 2 is, marshmallows, pickles, blah, 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 blah. And then I would have my manager, I would say, okay, here, I'm done, and like everyone's like walking around socializing, like doing this and doing that. And I'm over there just like drilling the fucking materials. You know what I mean? I'm just like, let's fucking go, dude. Like, I got this. Yeah, I'm not checking stream labels, but Assassin, I just saw that you donated $50, so I'm just gonna shout that out because that's a fucking shitload of money. You're the man. So, god damn it, yo, Assassin, thanks for the 50 though. But I'm gonna continue. I'll thank you more later. I want to focus on the podcast for sure, though. God damn it, Assassin. This guy Assassin, dude. This guy fucking Assassin. So, anyway, and I would hand them to my manager, and I would say, okay, go. And what she would do is she would say, bag 2, item 6. And I just knew it. And I'd be like, pickles. And then she'd be like, bag 3, item 1. And I'd be like, fruit snacks. And we would go through this until I could have everything down perfect. And then when it got to the competition, since I knew every bag and knew every item and knew what order every item was, it was just fucking easy as shit. Because I would just, and what I would always talk about is the dumbest shit. I would always talk about like weather. That was like my big thing. Because I said I can literally just make shit up about the weather while memorizing all of my bags. So I would sit there and I would just be like, I'd be like, hey, in my head, I'm like, okay, marshmallows, fruit snacks, granola bars. But what I'm saying is, hey, nice weather out there today, huh? It's pretty warm out. I came here with shorts and a t-shirt. Thank God I don't have to wear a hoodie. Just like dumb shit. Because it didn't matter what you said, as long as you were having conversation, you were fucking good. All right. And then I won the district competition. I won multiple gift cards. I remember I won something with like iTunes or some shit like that. I don't fucking remember. And then I won another $100. And then I went to the next competition, which was at a stadium. And this, they sectioned off like a whole section of a stadium. And before we did that, I got a call from my manager, and she was like, hey, the news wants to have you on the Channel 69 news, which was like your local early morning news, like the news that comes on at like 7 a.m. when people are getting ready for work, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, they want to have you and the competitor from another store in the news, and they want to talk about it. So I told my school, because what I did is I did the morning announcements for my school. So every morning when you went to homeroom before high school and you sat there and there's like a TV in your homeroom and they would turn it on and like the principal would come on for the announcements. Well, I was one of the people that almost on a daily basis, we kind of rotated through people, but I love doing it. I would give you like, and the camera was on you and it was like a fucking news desk and everything. Like it was sick. Like people could look at you and you would make little jokes and make videos, but I would deliver the news. So I'd be like, good morning, Exeter. That was the name of my school. Want to go into sports. So yesterday, the baseball team came up with a huge victory, and I'd like just, break it down, like what was the news in the high school and in the community for the time being and stuff like that. So I told my whole school, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be on the news, like Channel 69 news during homeroom. I don't really know what the fuck is happening, but if you want to tune in, like it might be pretty funny because I don't know what's going on. So I went on the fucking news, and I remember I was there and my mom was there and she was like, oh my God. And I don't know why I said this, but for some reason I got really nervous, which is not usually like me for being in front of a camera. But right when we were about to go on, they were like, all right, you're on in 30 seconds. And I remember the one thing I said is I looked at my mom and I was just like, Mom, she's like, what's Sean? What's up? And I was like, how's my hair look? She's like, oh my God, you're worried about your hair? She's like, it looks fine. And we went on the news, and I just wasn't myself. I was like really awkward, and I didn't really talk that much, and I gave very short answers, and I just wasn't very personable like I normally was. So it definitely wasn't my best performance on TV or anything, but it was pretty funny. But we were on the news. They talked about the bagging competition, and the guy that I was with was very like socially awkward. He was just, I don't know, he was weird. He was socially awkward, but not like me because I was nervous. You could just tell like he wasn't a very social person. So then went to the next competition. I won an Xbox 360 and another $100. That was for the other competition. And then the final competition, I drove a truck, and all my I had friends take off school, and I think 3 friends or 2 friends, at least 2 friends, and my mom took off work, and we went all the way, paid trip to Hershey Hotel and everything, and fucking I lost. And let me tell you why I lost. I always practiced bagging in plastic. And plastic is different because you like when you bag in plastic, you can manipulate the bag. You can manipulate the shape of the bag. You can sort of push items. You can make the bag smaller or larger. You know what I mean? It's a lot different than bagging paper because paper bags are set, like you have a set area, cubic inches or cubic centimeters, if you will, and you have to fit the items within that area. There's really no room to there's really no room for expanding or shifting the shape of the bag. You know what I mean? So when we got there, the competition, the bagging competition, the paper one, the first one, I fucking nailed. Like I killed the plastic one. I fucking nailed it. Destroyed everybody. And then they were like, okay, now for round two. So I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna have like a second set of items or something. And they're like, come around the corner here for a surprise round two. And there were fucking paper bags there. And I remember I looked at my manager and I was just like, yo, like this is not good. And she knew it wasn't good because she knew that my approach to it was not an improvised approach. She knew that my approach was very systematic and very structured. So what I immediately started doing was, instead of trying to improvise it, I started recalculating everything. I was like, okay, I'm going to try to keep the bags the same, but how can I place these items differently into the bag? I might have to shift a few things around. How can I put this box here? Long story short, terrible. I absolutely just shit the bed on the paper. Like I poked a hole in one of my bags. I couldn't get the items to fit in cleanly. It was just really bad. And after the first bag, my confidence just was shot down. And not that, it's anything in a sexist way or anything like that, but I lost to a chick. I got second. I placed second, and the first place was a chick. And I'll never forget, I was just like, Mom, I lost to a girl. And when you're like a kid, like you don't want to lose to a girl when you're a kid in like high school, Nobody wants to no guy wants to lose anything to a girl. So I lost to a girl and I wasn't happy about it, and it was just a shitty drive home, and you got consolation prizes and stuff, but it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, that was my bagging competition story. it it was quite the experience for sure. It was quite the experience for sure. But going back to where it stemmed from, I ended up being the checkout manager, the front end manager. Managed the front end of a store at age 15. Did that for what, 2 years, 2.5 years. And then went away to college. Then I graduated high school. I went away to college. I went to a small little college. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to study, but in high school, for me, everything came very easy to me. And a lot of things, school-wise, still do. I just was always a very quick learner and was able to pick things up quickly. But high school came very easy to me, and I was a very, very good student, straight A student. And I got some scholarships to go to college. And in high school, I played football, baseball, and golf. I played my senior year. So I did play 3 different competitive sports in high school and middle school. But so I went to college. I was gonna play baseball. I met with the baseball coach in college, but I never ended up playing baseball. I just didn't. I don't know. I was over sort of team competitive sports at that time. I just kind of wanted to have fun in college. So I went and I decided I was going to study mathematics. So mathematics was always a subject that I was very, very interested in. I took every AP math course that you possibly could in high school. And anything that involved math just always intrigued me, just because everybody hated it. So I was like, I fucking want to love this shit. Like, why do people hate this? This shit's cool. and it really makes you think, and it's hard, and it's difficult, and it's challenging, and it keeps you occupied. So I went to school. I studied straight mathematics. I was the only person in my smaller college that had a straight math major. Everybody else was math education or something like that. Mine was just straight math, which means that I had to take every single math course possible. Ended up graduating college with a 3.5 GPA. So if you're not familiar with the GPA system, a 4.0 is perfect. So a 3.5 is basically like, one step down or 1.5 steps down or whatever. But it that's like Dean's List stuff. That's like a really good GPA to have graduating college. And I went to a liberal arts school, so I had to take a lot of like diverse classes. Like you had to take languages, you had to take English, you had to take all sorts of stuff. Kind of similar to high school, but I liked it. It was cool. Diverse education is always really good. So I had to write a senior thesis, and my senior thesis I ended up writing about the Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's Cube was something that I picked up in high school, and I started training myself on how to solve it and speed solve it. And at one point, I was able to get it down into the 40s and 50 seconds, like sub 1 minutes, very easily. I can still do it sub 1 minute, but not every single time. If I get a bad setup, the solve will be a little bit slower. But I wrote my senior thesis on group theory and abstract algebra and the Rubik's Cube. So it was pretty cool. It was like a 40-page paper. It was dope. And then you had to do a big presentation on it. And my finale was solving the Rubik's Cube after my math chair of the math department mixed it up. So that was that. So back to the gaming stuff. So my big gaming experiences in college was Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 was definitely my favorite Call of Duty. 100%. I think that is one of the best video games ever made, the most revolutionary multiplayer game ever made. And I think just in general, just a very, 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 very well done video game. And it will always have a big spot in my heart, and it will always mean a lot to me. And if they ever do remaster the game, I think it's something that I'm interested in possibly going back to, even though I pulled away from that scene a lot. But it definitely will be something that I might try out. We'll see. I know those types of games are fucking competitive as shit right now. Or I don't know, like what the fuck is even the state of COD right now? How's the competitive scene? I don't even know. I don't really pay attention to it much anymore because Modern Warfare 3 was the next game that I really, really loved, and I thought, it wasn't as good as Modern Warfare 2, but still a fucking masterpiece of a video game. Modern Warfare 3 was fucking outstanding. Can't really say anything bad about it. I never really got too much into the Black Ops games, if I'm honest. I don't know. I always felt like the pacing and the intensity in those games wasn't quite what you saw with the Modern Warfare games. And then once Ghost hit, Ghost was when everything started to go downhill for me with Call of Duty. Ghosts was fun and I enjoyed the game, but at some point I did end up putting it down. And then every game after that, in my opinion, is when Call of Duty just took a fucking dump and just went down the shitter real fucking quick. And I just put the series down. It took me a while, but eventually I just decided, it's time for me to move on to something else. I'm just not enjoying these games as much as I used to. And I'm gonna look for something else. So I remember around that time when I put Call of Duty down, I wasn't really a competitive PvP game that I was enjoying at the time, but I remember I picked up Mass Effect. And Mass Effect is another series of games, franchise, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that left a huge impact on my life. I remember, so at this time I had moved to, this was when I lived in Yeah, so I moved to Washington D.C. When I graduated college, I moved to Washington D.C. I got a job as a pharmaceutical sales rep. So basically, I was a legal drug dealer. I would go to doctors' offices, and I'm that guy when you're in the doctor's office with the suit and tie, with the bag that he's wheeling around with all the drug, oh, excuse me, with all the drug samples, and I'm meeting with the doctors, and it's a pretty fucking cool job. Like, it's definitely a very lucrative industry, but it's also a very they don't give a fuck about money in that industry. Like, they toss money left and right. The fucking meetings that I would get flown to, fully paid, were just so fucking big, and it was pretty crazy. But I did that job for about 4.5 years, and had meetings with doctors and bought them lunch, and it was just all about sweet talking the ladies at the front of the desk, and gaining access. We called the ladies at the front of the desk the gatekeepers, and gaining access to the back and stuff like that. But it was fun. It was dope. I had a good time. I met a lot of good people, got a lot of good career experience, a lot of good sales experience, which is something that I continued after I moved from there and went to Colorado. And but I took about a week off of work, or 2 weeks. I remember I used all my vacation days and basically just 100%ed all three Mass Effect games back to back to back, and did everything that you could do, and all the DLC, and just like everything. I just made sure that I completed everything because I enjoyed the game so fucking much. And I think between the combination of Call of Duty and the combination of Mass Effect having such a big impact on my life, that was definitely probably the biggest reason, or one of the biggest things that forced me, or not really forced me, that encouraged me to try out Destiny. So I had, Destiny was really, really hyped up. There were lots of commercials about it and stuff like that. But for some reason, I never like bought the game right away. I even bought, what did I buy before it? Titanfall, was it? I forget. But I was not a day one Destiny player. I was not. I bought Destiny right before the Crota DLC came out. So the fuck was that DLC called? Dark Below. So I bought it a little bit before the Dark Below came out. So Vault of Glass and all those modes were all out, and it was right before Crota's End dropped. And I bought it. Did I buy an Xbox One first? I can't remember exactly if I bought an Xbox One first. I think I did. Yeah, I definitely did, 100%, because I only ever bought one version of Destiny. And my buddy Justin was like, "Yo, get an Xbox One, get Destiny," and a couple other of my friends like John and Gavin, they all got Destiny. And they were like, check it out. So I bought it, and I just come off of Mass Effect, so I didn't really know anything about it. So I bought the game, beat the game, got to level 20, beat the story, and I thought that was it. I really did. I didn't know much about the game, and I didn't really know much about I never had played any sort of RPG before, or games with like crazy end game. Everything that I played was either multiplayer or like a story, and then you were done. Like a Zelda game. Like, there isn't Zelda end game, so to speak. It's just like this fucking story mode and shit like that with boss battles. So I beat it, and I was like, all right, that was a fun game. That was dope. What's next? And then I remember I told that to my friends in an Xbox party, and they were like, what do you mean you beat the game? And I was like, I'm done, dude. I beat the fucking story, level 20. And they were like, dude, the game is just getting started. Like, you're just starting the game. And I was like, what? And I'll never forget, my buddy John May was like, dude, you haven't even done Vault of Glass yet. And I was like, what the fuck is Vault of Glass? And they were like, it's the raid. And I'm like, what the fuck is a raid? Complete fucking noob. So they were like, just join us. And I joined them, and they were all like level 28 to 30 and stuff like that. And I was just like measly fucking 25 or 26. Like, I had powered up through strikes or whatever. And then they were like, yeah, man, do this. And I was like, what are you guys wearing? Where'd you get that yellow gear? And they were like, oh, we bought this from Xur. And I was like, what the fuck is Xur? I had no clue what anything was. I was like, where are you guys like learning all this shit? And they were like, bro, this is Destiny. Like, Destiny's a fucking endgame. I'm like, what the fuck is endgame? Just total noob to the whole idea of endgame and RPGs and stuff like that. So they take me through Vault of Glass, and that was one of the fucking craziest experiences I've ever had. I mean, I don't really have to go through too much detail and explain it too much. Everybody that's done Vault of Glass, um, it knows what that experience is like. But it was profound, and it really blew my mind, and sort of, I guess not sort of, really changed my life. I would say Vault of Glass really changed my life, and and I just wanted to do it again. And I was like, dude, I want to do this again. I want more stuff. Like, this is awesome. I got so much loot. And they're like, well, you can only get loot once a week. And I was like, well, what the hell? And then they were like, make another character. So my first character was a Titan, and my second character was a Warlock, because I saw my buddy Doug had 3 fucking Warlocks at the time, but he was always self-resin and keeping himself alive. And I was like, man, I want to be able to like clutch situations in the raid. Like, I already started getting this like competitive fire in me to make plays in Destiny PvE. And I was like, I want to be able to self-res and be able to clutch and save situations if people die. So I made a Warlock, and then my third character, and then I made another Warlock, but I deleted the Warlock and made a Titan quickly after. I just made another Warlock to get double loot. But made the fucking Warlock, got carried through again, and then made the Hunter later. And at that point, I was already well versed, so I knew what the fuck was going on. And then Crota Zen comes out. Okay, so Crota Zen was obviously another huge turning point in my life. So when Crota Zen came out, the first time I ran through it was with, or like one of the first times. I don't remember exactly. I went on LFG and I found this guy named Death, and he was looking for people to do Crota Zen with. He said he needed like one more experienced player. I was not experienced at all. So I said, sure, man. They fucking invite me to an Xbox party. They were like, yo, you know what you're doing, right? Like, you've done this before? And I was like, yeah, dude, fucking cake. Had no fucking clue, like, really what was going on. So I'm just walking around, like, following all them, doing what they do, like, not messing up at all, playing really well. And then we get there, and they were like, all right, you know what's going on with Crota and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, dude, we're good. We're good. So so we go through the whole raid, and at the end of the raid, they're like, all right, man, we're gonna do another one. And I was like, man, I really got to get home for the holidays. Like, I really got to get home to my family. I got to go shopping for my dad. I got to get him a gift card, like stuff like that. And I was like, I'll be honest with you guys, I have no fucking idea what's going on. I've never really done it like that before. And they were like, you fucking asshole. So that was my first, like, one of my first Crota's End experiences for sure. Pretty interesting. So around that time, and this might be, you know, where a lot of people are interested, where I might hit a lot of questions that a lot of people have. But this is sort of where I started to, I guess, do I say brand myself, or do I say sort of distinguish myself or separate myself from other people? But so this is when I started getting into Twitch around this time, and I started checking out Twitch streams. And there were 2 people in particular that I really idolized, and that I really loved to watch and sort of wanted to be like, and they inspired me, and I was always in their chat and stuff. And those 2 people were Tfue and Slayer. And I used to watch Tfue and Slayer on a daily basis all the time, because they were always doing challenges, they were always doing solo stuff, they were always doing speed runs. And I'll never forget the first time, obviously, I heard about Slayer from his solo Crota Zen video, the first person to solo a full Destiny raid, like legit and everything. And that video blew up. I think that video has like 1.5 or 1.4 million views on YouTube or something like that. And then I remember Slayer said that he was going to start streaming and whatnot. So I started tuning into his streams, and he was always super cool, and I always wanted to like know like what he sounded like and stuff like that. And then he was talking on his streams, and it was just cool. And then I always, like, you know, he definitely was a big inspiration to me for sure. And really inspired me to push the limits and push and do things that most people would consider impossible. And then Tfue was just such a fucking skilled player and would just do the craziest things and you know, very similar types of challenges. Like, oh, can this be done solo? You know, what can I speedrun here? What kind of crazy shit can I do here? And I would always watch him and, you know, grind out all these crazy fucking challenges, you know, like solo and Crota on hard mode and all this stuff. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I want to do this stuff. Like, this stuff looks cool, man. This looks fun. This is the kind of stuff that I always want to do. But a lot of my friends aren't really crazy about doing the same stuff. Like, they like playing the game, but none of my friends from home really are. None of my friends from home really are all about that life, like grinding something out for hours and hours and hours and hours and just repeating and repeating. Like they had short attention spans and they would always get bored and they would always want to go like run strikes or do Crucible or something. I was like, fuck, man, like I need people to do this with. So what I started doing was just like hanging out in chats, man, like hanging out in Tfue's chat, hanging out in Slayer's chat, being very, very active in their chats, like you know, subbing to them and offering my opinions and joining any activities that I could if it was possible, and just like letting my presence be known. And I think that is like a huge thing if you're somebody that is wondering how to get into the sort of PvE scene or get more involved, is you got to be like very, very present and very vocal and I don't like to use the word opinionated, but you know, have ideas and contribute to the community. And that was something that I always put a lot of time in. And then the very first challenge that I ever did was I said I just want to solo Crota Zen like Slayer did, but I want to do it like my own way. Like I'm not gonna sit there and copy everything that he did. Like I want to go in. I want to see like how I would approach it, how I would do it. So I went in and I soloed Crota Zen on a hunter, which back then was like the best way to do. And it took me, the very first time I soloed Crota himself, just the Crota fight took me a little under 2 hours, I remember. And after I did it, like to me back then, 2 hours was a long time to spend on like one thing. So I thought that was a long time. And I was like, all right. And I remember I was in a party with my buddy Doug and I did it and I was like, fuck yeah, like fucking got Crota solo done. And I'll never forget, I said, and he can even back me up on this, I said, dude, I'm never doing that again. I was like, that fucking sucked. Like, I'm never doing that again. I just wanted to get it done. Ha ha! Ha ha ha! Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I fucking wrong, man. I don't know if anybody else has more Crota solos in the world than I do, but I mean, maybe. I don't fucking know. But I said I would never do it again. And then what happened was, once I did it on a hunter, I was like, I kind of want to do it on a warlock. And then I went and I did it on a warlock. And then after I did it on a warlock, I was like, fuck. I mean, I may as well just do it on a titan. And I did it on a titan. And then after that, I posted a video, and if you go to my YouTube channel, it's one of my first videos, maybe my first video ever. No, I think it's my second. And it is 7 hits with one sword. So it was the most hits on Crota that I ever got with one sword. So I jumped up, got 4 hits, dropped the sword, Gallarhorned him, got 3 more hits, and then the sword disappeared. And this guy commented on my video, and he said, yo, that's fucking dope, man, but if you're quick, you can take him down a 3rd time, and you can actually kill him in one sword solo if you get another 4 hits. So he was like, you got to go 4, 4, and 3.5, because back in the day, it was 11.5 hits to kill him. I think it was 11.5, either 11 or 11.5. So I'm like, fuck, like, how do I even want to do this? So what I did is I decided to take the hunter approach. Actually, I think it was the video that just played. I decided to take the hunter approach from the side and wait till Crota rotated from the side, blink up, get 3.5, 4, and 4 for the kill. And that was my first like huge PvE challenge that I had stayed up all night. I remember it took me 18 hours to do that. It took me 18 hours to fucking one sword solo Crota on a hunter from the side. It was my first, besides the like solo the raid, first big like solo challenge, and I was super proud, and I got it, and I was pumped, and like all my friends were getting on in the morning, and they're like, dude, have you even slept yet? And I was like, bro, I've been going for 18 hours straight. Finally got the one sword, put it on YouTube, messaged the guy, and at this point I had like 10 YouTube subs maybe, and I messaged the guy, and I was just like, yo, I got the one sword, bro. I was like, thank you so much. Like, that was fucking so fun. Thanks for the idea. And I fucking will forever give him, whoever that dude was, man, forever give him a lot of credit for getting me into solo challenges. And then that's when everything fucking started. That challenge right there was when everything started. Was when I was like, okay, that was awesome. The feeling of getting that done was fucking insane. Like, I want more of that. I want more of that drive, you know? Like, that was so fucking dope. I'm not used to having that feeling in video games, and I love gaming. And if I can create that type of feeling in video games, like, I'm gonna do it. So from there, it was, okay, well, now that I've one sworded on a hunter, let's one sword on a fucking warlock. And then I one sword on a warlock using the similar strat as the hunter. And then I was like, okay, now I one sword on that. I want to one sword on a titan, but I want to one sword from the middle. And I had never seen anybody do that before. And apparently Modern beat me to it by a little bit, but I did not know who Modern was at the time, and I did not see his run. So Modern and I both did a one sword from the middle on our own. And I don't know if anybody else did it as well in between the time that Modern did it and the time that I did it. I don't know. You can check the dates. Check the date of Modern's one sword Titan solo and then check mine. So I don't know. But I worked for hours on the one sword from the middle and finally got it and was super pumped about that because it was something different than like what people had been used to seeing. And I think around this time is when like Tfue and Slayer were doing the solo Crotas and speedruns, so they were already like mastering the hunter solo speedruns and stuff like that, and I was always watching them on Twitch, and then stuff like that. Dude, I kind of have to fucking shit. But anyway, so after I did all of those, I think my YouTube subs went up to like 40 maybe ish, I want to say. And then I was like, well, you know what? Like, I'm getting pretty good at this Crota thing. Not necessarily like the whole raid speedrun, but I'm getting pretty good at this Crota thing. So I was like, I'm going to start making like little guides. So then I started saying, okay, this is the best way to one sword on this class. This is the best way to one sword on this class. And I was like, okay, now let's do it with a fucking dragon's breath instead of Galahorn. And I was just like trying to come up with like all these different ways on how to do it. And I never watched HM too much, but I was obviously aware of his presence in Crota, and I knew that he also was spending a lot of time on Crota, so I do got to give him some credit for some inspiration as well, because he sort of pushed me to challenge myself because I knew he was doing things. He probably didn't know who I was at all, but I knew that I wanted to compete not only with myself, but also with him to try to see what sort of crazy ways I can do Crota challenges compared to what he's doing, you know? So, you know, I've always been about doing things my own way, being creative, doing things first, you know, stuff like that. So here's when my YouTube channel took a big old. So there was a post on Reddit one day, and somebody said something along the lines of, when is somebody going to solo Crota? Oh my god, look at this OG Titan. Haha! Makeout fights, dude. Gladiator 182. Oh, I gotta get into that, yo. Fucking, I gotta get into my name, like where Glad came from. Actually, I'll just tell you right now before I forget. I gotta remember, where did I start at? Big Break Reddit. Okay. So, Gladiator 182 has been my gamer tag for like such a long time. Basically since elementary school or early middle school. It's always been my name. When I did AOL Instant Messenger, I always had 182 at the end of my name. It was actually Captain Howdy 182, which was a reference to the Exorcist movie. Oh, this is the Titan strat. Look. Yeah. This is the Titan strat I came up with. Oh, hold on. I'm going to watch this. This is dope. I was super proud of this one because I'd never seen anybody do this before. The whole bubble strat. Solo one sword from the middle. And this was back when like Crota was your same light level. Alright, anyway. So 182 is a reference to Blink 182. Gladiator was actually a porno that I saw when I went into a porn store like before I was 18. I fucking got snuck in, obviously. And it was like this fucking gladiator guy, and he was sitting there, you know, just being all pimping, like super corny, and it was called Glad He Ate Her with hyphens. So I was like, dude, I fucking love that. That's so funny. So I made my Xbox gamer tag Glad He Ate Her, and then threw the 182 at the end. And that was my gamer tag all the way up until my YouTube channel hit like maybe 500 subs. And then one day I logged on and I went into a party, and there was a fucking name in the party, and it was like Itchy Joey with a bunch of numbers. And I talked, and like the Itchy Joey lit up, and I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, who the fuck is Itchy Joey? And then they're like, we have no fucking idea. And I was like, what is Itchy Joey? Like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, wait, Itchy Joey is me. I'm like, what the fuck is Itchy Joey? So I checked my email, and there was a message from Xbox support or whatever, and it said, you've been randomly assigned a gamer tag because Itchy Joey was reported for like inappropriate language or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, Gladiator's my gamer tag. So what I did is I changed it again, but I added like a 2. So I made it Gladiator 1822. Kid you not, within 10 minutes, my gamer tag changed immediately. I looked in the party, and it was something bunny. And I'm like, what the fuck? So somebody was sitting there monitoring me. And this was not that long ago. This is like when Destiny 2 was Destiny 1 was well into the game. Like, Protozen was out. I think maybe even Oryx was out at the time. I don't remember. But somebody changed it again, so I changed it again. But this time I made it Inspector Gadget 182. But the way that I spelled Inspector Gadget was Inspect Her Gadget. Like another play on words, because that's the theme that I wanted to take. Fucking 20 minutes later, somebody reported that name. So I'm like, dude, some fucking asshole that like doesn't like me for some reason is just sitting there reporting my gamer tag changes over and over and over just to be a dick. So then I made it Shadowfax 182, and Shadowfax is the name of the white horse in the Lord of the Rings movies, which is our movie series that I hold very dear to my heart. The best movies ever. Go check them out. Anyway, so Shadowfax 182, and then when I got asked to join Redeem by Tfue and company, they were making fun of me for the long name and the numbers, and I was like, God damn it, I'm just going to make it Gladiator then. And all that was taken, and then I was like, all right, fuck, let me just make it Glad. I'll just shorten Gladiator to Glad, because everybody called me Glad anyway. Like, everybody, like, when I would go into Slayer's chat, he would, instead of saying Gladiator 182, he would say Glad, if you called me Glad and shit. So I was like, all right, fucking Glad. And then GLAD was taken, GLADD was taken, GLADDD was acceptable, but I didn't like the triple D's, so I just went with GIADD, and that's where the whole origin of Glad or Giad or Gaiad comes from. But anyway, back to the big break. So somebody was like, when is somebody going to solo Crota's End with a drum set? And I never really thought anything about it, but I was friends with my buddy Underdog. Underdog is God used to be his name, now it's F Underdog. And he had mentioned before that he like could do macros on like Xbox and stuff like that. So I hit him up one day. I like texted him, and I was like, "Yo, like no joke, I got a question for you. How likely is it that you could actually make a rock band drum set? Like if I bought one, I was like, how likely do you think it would be that you could hook it up like to my Xbox so that I could play it? And he was like 100%. I found out later that he actually had no fucking idea if he could do it. He just wanted to say that he could do it. And keep in mind, this is still when I had like 20 YouTube subs, so like nobody knew who the fuck I was. And so I buy a fucking drum set. I bought a Cronus Max Pro, which is like a little fucking programming. I don't even know like the terminology for it. Fucking noob. And I sent him my laptop. I sent him the drum set. I sent him the Cronus Max. I sent him everything. And I was like, dude, do whatever the fuck you need to do. Because I didn't have a PC. I just had this shitty ass laptop from high school or from college. And he sends everything back to me within a week. And he sends me instructions, like a video on how to plug everything in. And I did. And I hooked up the drum set. And I just booted up a stream. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna boot up a stream and like see what the fuck happens. And I think like I had maybe like 9 viewers or something like that. Because at this time my streaming was I was streaming like regularly, but I was pulling 2 to 3 people a stream, because it was basically just like this small group of people that would just hang out and chat. And if you're an OG, like, you know who the fuck you are. I'm sure there's probably at least one OG in my chat, but I used to stream everything. Like, I streamed The Last of Us and like all these other like little puzzle games, and I would have like 3, 4, 5 viewers sometimes. But it was always like the same people. And it was nice because I didn't mind that I didn't have a lot of viewers, but I liked the people that hung out regularly, and they always like kept me going, kept me streaming games. So I started up a stream and I started messing around in Patrol with the drum set, and and it was so fucking awkward. And I'm like, dude, this is so fucking weird. Like, how the fuck am I gonna be able to do this? So I said, you know what? I'm going right into Crota, and we already had a checkpoint, and I already like had a plan of how I was gonna do it, like what my strategy was. It involved like throwing an invis grenade at the ground, and we just hopped right in. And it's so funny because that was like a huge claim to fame for me. But it wasn't even that fucking hard. It took me, getting Crota on the drum set took me about 2.5 hours, like beginning to end. Going into the fight and then completing it took me about 2.5 hours, I want to say. But when I did it, like, there were a few people in chat I remember, and but it wasn't like a big deal. Like, it wasn't like this huge uproar. I don't know. Maybe people were like flying into Slayer's chat and be like, dude, this guy fucking. But I don't think so, because not like people didn't really know who the fuck I was. So I uploaded it to my YouTube channel. I posted it on fucking Reddit, right? And I was just like, hey, you guys asked, well, here you go. And I had like no Reddit karma. I hadn't really posted on Reddit too many times, maybe a few times. And I go to bed that night. It was a Wednesday night. And then I wake up the next morning, and my fucking phone was just bombarded with messages. Like, all of my friends that I gamed with were there. People from home that I hadn't talked to in forever, that I went to high school with, they were like, bro, you're all over the internet, you're fucking trending. Fucking just like emails and messages. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I logged on to Reddit, and I just see my inbox just like hundreds of messages. And my YouTube channel, like, my subs went from, I would say I had like 20 at the time, maybe, to like 200 plus just overnight. So like a couple hundred in one night. And for me, like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what happened to my YouTube channel? I have like almost 300 subs now. what's all these messages? The Reddit post was #1 trending, like on the front page of Reddit. Dude, I was just blown away. Like my video literally went viral overnight, and I could not believe it. I'd never experienced anything like that before, and it was like really fucking crazy. And that is another big thing that encouraged me to just like keep going. I was like, dude, I want to do more shit like that. Like, because I'll be honest, like I like attention. I like attention from people. I like being recognized. Like, there's no doubting that. I mean, I would definitely, to an extent, call myself some sort of attention whore. I don't mind being the center of attention, and it was just a very stimulating experience for me. With that video blowing up so much, and that encouraged me to then keep going. I was like, okay, well, I've been recognized for that, and then I did all these videos too where I did Crota's like upside down, and then I did the whole Crota Zen without taking damage. And I'll never forget, somebody had posted a video that was like, yo, the guy who soloed Crota Zen upside down just did the whole raid without taking damage. Like, somebody was posting videos for me on Reddit. And I was like, holy shit, bro. Like fucking people are recognizing now. And then I just was getting a couple like new YouTube subs every day. And it was pretty cool, man. It was like a fun time in Destiny to just watch something grow like that. So then from there, we did the Guitar Hero. Then we did the Blindfold. The Blindfold was terrible experience, if I'm honest. I would never do anything like that again. Probably the most difficult challenge I've ever done, or definitely the most stressful, and the least fun. I did not have a really good time doing that challenge, but yeah, I mean, it had to be done. Then there was the Dance Dance Revolution. Crota was soloed with that. What else we do? Voice commands. Voice commands was fucking awesome. My buddy like programmed my voice to do controls for the character, and that was really fucking cool. But that was pretty tough as well. That was very tedious because every time I said a command, it was about a 1.5 second delay until the command would actually go through. So I had to really anticipate the delay, when I was doing the voice commands. But from there, dude, like, I guess I don't really know like what else to say other than that's probably when a lot of you sort of started to pick me up on YouTube, and there's just kind of steady growth with subs every day as I was putting up videos for like if this could be soloed, I want to try to do this, oh, Volta Glass can kind of be soloed, let me solo that. This can be soloed. And then so for the redeem thing, if any of you are interested in that, which I'm sure you are, I was doing so I had done the no damage Crota solo, and then I had done the Crota Zen solo backwards. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna solo Crota backwards and without taking damage at the same time. And I did it, and fucking Modern and Tfue hopped in my chat. And that was like the first time I'd ever seen him like in my stream, because I was still really small, and they were like, yo, what's up? And I was like, yo, what up, dudes? And then like the next day or like 2 days later or something, Tfue just randomly fucking hits me up, and he was like, yo, you got a good Titan, right? And I was like, yeah. Like, I'd never fucking played with him before, ever. And I was like, yeah, dude, my Titan's good. And he was like, all right, well, fucking here, I'm going to invite you to a party. He was like messaging me, invites me to a party. He's like, yo, we're going to work on 2-man Oryx. And we started like testing all these strategies for 2-man Oryx. And then, nothing like worked, obviously. We weren't the first to do that or anything. But they invited me into a party later. And if Modern's here, he'll get a kick out of this. They were like, yo, what do you guys think of Glad joining Redeem? And then fucking Modern's like, yo, I don't want that drum set shit in here or something like that. And I'm like, this fucking guy talking shit on the drum set. He's like, get those drums out of here. But ultimately they were all like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. So that's when I joined Redeem. And that was like, what, That was like at the end of year 1, Destiny 1 or something like that. I don't remember. Definitely sometime in year 1. Just don't remember exactly when. But the Oryx was definitely out. Oh wait, was Oryx year 1 or year 2? Year 1. Yeah, Oryx was year 1. Because Oryx was spring of the year that it came out. Oryx was year 2? Okay, then it was year 2. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Fucking, I don't care, man. You guys are dicks. I'm just reading chat now because I wanted to see. But yeah, that's when I joined up with Redeem and got to know, like, you know, everybody, the OG crew. Back then, I fucking apologize if I fuck any names up, but back then it was like, it was TFU, Modern, PVT Nuclear, Flesh, was Error in at that time? I guess he was he? Maybe he was. I just didn't get to know him until a little bit later. But I had talked to everybody else. Rubber. Um. What else? Hey, well, those were the people that. Those are the people that I like had got to know. Like right off the bat. I got to know Flesh before I got to know Error though, for sure. But then we started like fucking around, doing some speed runs together. Started teaming up with like I did a couple challenges with Nuke. I did a couple challenges with TFU and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. Good group of guys. That's kind of like how Redeem started for me, and we always like pushed each other and made fun of each other and stuff like that. But it was all in like good fun. So we had some good times and still do, even though a lot of us don't play as much as we used to anymore. But we'll see how Destiny 2's future pans out for sure. But oh, I left out fucking my buddy, dude. You guys know who he is, Mr. Iron. Iron Addict was his OG name. Now he's just Iron. Yeah, dude. Iron's a monster in PvP. And that's how I recognized his talent, because I was already doing all these crazy PvE challenges. And I was like, yo, this motherfucker is like nasty at PvP. And we had picked Iron up through LFG. He was an LFG guy. And I was like, I want to see how this motherfucker does in PvE. So the first thing that we ever did is I was like, let's go in and let's 2-man Crota. And then let's 2-man hard Crota. And let's do some fucking speed runs. And we actually are the original fucking 2-man Crota Zen speedrun holders. Like, there was no record previous to our run, but we got an OG 10-minute 30-second Crota Zen 2-man speedrun. And I knew that he was fucking good like right away, because we kind of like worked. I was like, all right, Abyss is pretty much going to be you farming super, me just soloing it. Bridge is going to be me flying across with the sword, you killing yourself, and then self-resing. And then so like, you know, he didn't really have any like big duties besides killing the left side ogre on bridge. And then I remember I gave him a fucking job. I was like, all right, dude, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna clear all the ads outside, okay? And you know, to help keep all the enemies outside like fucking dealt with. And you're just gonna go in the middle. And I'm like, do you think you can just solo fucking Death Singer, like, like before her liturgy begins? You think you can just go in there and just smoke everything and fucking chase her around in the room and just solo her and pop your super and take her out? And he was like, I'll see what I can do. And like, first try, he's just like, I hear all this fucking explosions, and he's like, oh shit. And then he's like, all right, she's dead. And I'm like, yo, this motherfucker just went in there and just soloed fucking Death Singer, like. And I'm like, this guy's legit. So then I was like, yo, we should honestly put like some good ass attempts. So then we practiced on Crota. Yo, hold up, I'm gonna play that run. I'll play our original 10:30. You guys will like this. This shit, hold on. It would just be Crota's End 2-man speedrun. Let's see if it comes up. Yes, dude. We invested so much time into getting this run at sub 11 minutes. Alright, so we'll play this while I talk. But this was fucking. This was really, really, really fucking dope. I remember when we did this, I was super pumped. Oh, there I am without a beard. This was a couple years. Well, obviously a couple years. But this is when I first started playing with Iron and realized he was a fucking just badass motherfucking player. And then we started doing lots of challenges. And then we two-manned Hard Crota back when like Hard Crota was the same level as you. We did it on 2 Titans and we chose like a side bubble rotating strat. Yeah, it was fun. Dude, the lettering looks so weird on this. What the fuck? It looks so fucking weird. Iron Addict 01. Iron Addict 01. By the way, so people in chat, I will be closing up relatively soon. I don't even know how long we've been going here. Oh my gosh, dude, an hour and 45 minutes already, Jesus. So if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer, so I think what I'm gonna do with every stream like this, every podcast, if you will, it feels weird saying podcast. Podcast, episode 1. Glad to meet you, podcast, episode 3. Fucking sounds weird as shit. What's next? And now Glad coming at you with season 2. Oh, dude, I missed the jump. Red. This jump used to be hard, yeah. That jump used to suck. That jump used to suck. See how good my Abyss is. Ready? So far, so good. So far, so good. So far, so good. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm waiting at that one for a while. That was bad. That was bad. This was my first Destiny speedrun ever. I was still a speedrun noob. Still a fucking schnoob. But yeah, if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, anything, it can be about fucking personal life, gaming, advice, whatever the fuck you want. Just send me a whisper. I'll check whispers right before I get off. And yeah. But I think that's probably how we'll end everything. Shall end everything. But yeah, dude. Fucking Iron. We need to get Iron a PC. We need to get fucking Iron a PC. Let me see. What would you recommend to do when starting a YouTube/Twitch channel? I mean, YouTube and Twitch is very hard to grow. I would say Twitch is much more difficult to grow than YouTube. Just because Twitch is anytime you're doing like live entertainment, it's much more difficult to grow on that platform than it is like a video archive. But I think because YouTube is something that like people will just sub and then they check their sub box and then, you know, they periodically check. But I think you want to really think about, you know, and I'm no expert, but I'll give any advice that I can. I think you really want to think about what is your niche going to be? What do you want to brand yourself around? What are you really looking to do? And how can you stand out and be a little different among everybody else? Because if you're just blending in with the crowd, there's not really going to be incentive for people to sub to you. So like put yourself in someone else's shoes. If you see a recommended video on YouTube or you're searching for something and you see somebody that's putting up content that you already follow somebody that has that same content, but this person's content is like just not as good, like why would you sub to that person if it's like the same stuff and you're like, well, I already have this guy and he's already amazing. But if you click on that video and you're like, oh well, this guy, like it's the same content but this guy's doing this to his videos, or this guy's, doing it in this way, or adding to this way, or giving, this additional point of view. Like, what can you do to sort of distinguish yourself or make yourself stand out, or just be like very very entertaining, make people like want to sit through the whole video, a good punchline right off the bat. It's definitely tough, like, and it takes a while. It took a long time. I was sitting at 10, 15, 20, like less than 40 subs for fucking forever on my YouTube. And my big break was, as I explained throughout the podcast, the past hour and 40 minutes, was just all about doing things in a new video game that had not been done before. Like, that was my niche. I was like, I'm going to do something that people are going to be like, no fucking way. Like, how is this possible? I never thought that this would be possible. But that was like the approach that I took. YouTube can go so many different ways. So many different ways, and you really need to think about, what is something that I'm very passionate about? What is something that I'm willing to do for a while? What is something that not gonna make a couple videos and just give up on? Like, it's got to be something that you have a lot of energy to put into it, and it's got to be something that you're gonna consistently upload and be, put lots of energy towards, and people will be able to see that, in your content. But constant uploads, like, you can't just upload here and there. You got to upload regularly. You got to provide some commentary, provide some insight, give good descriptions, be respectful to your subs. Like, you don't want to just like post videos with like one word descriptions, like, this, like, explain a little bit about what you're doing, why it's important to you, why it's relevant, what's your setup, what's your build, why are you going into it like this? Because, like, people are going to sub to you because they want to be informed about whatever content that you're creating. They're not just gonna sub to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's so many different variables, and it's hard to really drill that question down to like one answer, because it really depends on what kind of channel. Like, I'm definitely talking more about a game channel, but I don't know. I hope that helps. And Twitch is, I would say the big word for Twitch is consistency. Twitch is all about streaming and over and over every day. Just keep on drilling. Never, like, don't take too much time off, because people want to be continuously part of your live experience. They don't want to see you stream once a month. You got to keep on going. You got to keep on fighting. Don't let low viewers on Twitch and low viewers on sub count, like low sub count on YouTube, like, let you down. You got to keep your head high and keep on pushing, because eventually the consistency will pay off. Eventually, it just might take a while. All right. Will this be on iTunes? This will be on YouTube, Weed Dog. This will be on YouTube. Any really unique or interesting, embarrassing masturbation stories? Yes, my mom caught me masturbating, or at least I like to think she caught me masturbating. So we used to have this staircase that would lead down to the living room, and you could see, like, if you looked off the side of the staircase, you could see the couch that was facing the TV. And one time I used to actually buy porn on my fucking mom's cable, and she would be like, "Oh, what is? Oh, I don't really remember buying Triple X dildo, spatula, and pussy. I don't remember buying that movie. That sounds interesting. Do you know anything about that, Sean?" And I'd be like, "Nah, Mom, what the hell? I don't know anything about this spatula pussy shit. Like, what the fuck?" She's like, "Yeah, the ribbed spatula goes in wet vagina." Oh my god, the OG let the nights kill you strat. But she came down the stairs, and I didn't hear her coming down the stairs. It was real late, and I was just in the fucking zone, if you will. And she started like coughing. She started going, and I fucking heard her coughing, and she just walked down the stairs, pretended she didn't see me when I knew she saw me, and I zipped up my fucking pants, canceled the program, turned the TV off, ran upstairs, shut my door, and never fucking spoke a word about it. My mom definitely caught me fucking waxing the dolphin, dude. Polishing the pewter. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Titan skating was always a thing, but do I have any good roasts for myself? Any good roasts for myself? I mean, I don't know. Kind of hard to like roast myself. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. Sorry. Good roast for myself. I don't know. I'm an asshole. How's that? What's my favorite thing about Destiny? The gunplay, honestly. Gunplay will always be something that brings me back to the game. Even if Destiny 2 is fucking shit. Destiny 2 will always be like Destiny in general will just always feel fun to play and feel fun to shoot. It's just fun to point your gun and shoot enemies. Movement and the gunplay feels really fucking nice. Feels really nice. Do I plan on streaming D1 again? I do, yes. At some point. At some point. OG One Sword. I don't know. Okay. I think that's a good note to end, dudes. 10:30 kill. I think that is a good note to end. So, let me check whispers. Hold on before we end this. Before we end. Do you do any speedruns or high level PvE play before Destiny? Yes, I did. So the game that I probably put a lot of time into before college, or like during college, was Mario Kart. Um, by the way, Mr. Burn, this will be all up on YouTube. How many cortisols do I have? Or Basic, I have no idea. So Mario Kart. I'm actually really good at Mario Kart. So I think that's a game that I might be interested in streaming at some point. But I used to put a lot of time into speedrunning every single like individual 3-lap fucking time trial mission on Mario Kart, the original N64 one. But that was the thing that I can think about the most, that I put like the most time into for sure. Focused most of my attention to, just getting really good at. Oh, jeez. Okay, well, who's the best PvE player in the world if I had to pick somebody? Dude, I honestly think very highly of Bresco. I think very, very highly of Bresco as a Destiny player. I think he deserves a lot more attention than he gets. I wish he streamed. I just think he has raw fucking skill and a creative mind for coming up with ideas to do challenges that some people say is impossible. All right, guys. Well, here is the deal. Tried something new. We will see how the reception of this is. Pretty much just me shooting the shit the whole time, so I hope you learned something. Maybe you got to know me a little bit better. Maybe you don't like me as much. Maybe you like me more. Either way, you can go fuck yourself. um uh so I'm gonna do more of these, but this will be the only one that is focused on my like story. I will definitely have other ones where it's just me, but it won't be me talking about myself. It'll just kind of be me just rambling about different topics. But this will be the only one where I will sit there and tell my whole story like that. But I think I wanna just have like somebody else where we kind of shoot the shit and I talk about somebody else, and their story a little bit. And take it from there and see where the conversation goes. But like I said, I don't really want these to feel scripted or anything like that. I promise you, I didn't write a single thing down for this. I am just sort of going off the top of my head. And for purposes of YouTube, because I am going to put this on YouTube, I will link my Twitch and Twitter in the YouTube video description. So feel free to follow that if this is something that you're interested in. Let me know in the comments like what you think. Something that you'd like to see, people that you'd like for me to talk with, because that's something that I'm interested in too. If I get a bunch of suggestions for somebody that they'd like to see on, that'd be pretty dope. But this is more or less just to do for fucking, I don't know, man. A lot for myself for sure, because I've always wanted to do something like this ever since I started streaming. I've always been inspired by people that do podcasts, because I think it's super. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can sit there and I can just listen to somebody talk for a while. I just put it on, just turn the volume up, and like while I'm doing things, like I don't need video. I just sit there and just chill and listen to people talk. So I've always wanted to try it out myself and just talk myself. I like to talk. Doesn't like to talk? Who doesn't like to talk about themselves? Modern would be fun. Yeah, definitely modern. Modern might be the first one. How you feel about that, modern? Huh? But that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. I guess that'll conclude the podcast, at least the close up for the YouTube video. You have a wonderful fucking day.